Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to Frontline, 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. We begin with some breaking news. A major winter storm is sweeping across the nation. 200 million Americans will be impacted as the 2,000-mile-long storm bringing ice, snow, frigid temperatures from New Mexico all the way to Maine, if you can believe it. Also, New York City kids are already fed up with Zoran Mamdani. Why? Well, because he will not be giving students a snow day Monday if schools are closed. Instead, saying that the day will be a remote learning day. Come on, fun police. Got to keep that indoctrination going, I guess. And 5 people have been charged in connection with the shooting of an Indiana judge and his wife last weekend. One of the suspects arrested, Thomas Moss, was reportedly facing felony charges in the Tippecanoe Superior Court that judge, Stephen Meyer, was presiding in. But first, I've actually never rooted for hypothermia until I saw the stupidity that's going on in Minnesota. Let's do this. Well, apparently I left Minneapolis just like a few hours too early because even in like negative 40-degree weather, you had hundreds of protesters show up to just annoy people, some of which were, like me, trying to travel at the airport. You see, this is just irritating. It doesn't make your point. It actually hurts your point. Most people, when we're traveling, we just want to be left alone. And if you mess with someone's flight, you're not making them any friendlier to your cause. So I don't get it. But most of these people protesting, they have no conviction about this stuff anyway. They're just angry, they're immature, or they're just looking for some cause to attach themselves to and be heard. Look, I went over to some of these people yesterday when I was there. Roll it.
Hey man, what are you doing out here?
I'm protesting ICE.
Yeah, what do you want from them?
Well, as my sign shows, I feel like they're violating the Bill of Rights. So, First Amendment rights, freedom from unreasonable search and seizure, going into personal property.
You know that's the Fourth Amendment, not the First.
Right, I'm going to the Fourth Amendment now. Yeah.
Come on, you want to answer a couple questions?
No, you're a piece of
So do you think coming in the country illegally is breaking the law?
Yes, but it's not a violent. I'm saying these are not violent criminals if they have just done that.
What's the sign all about?
Oh, it's about the complete lack of qualifications of the people who are going out and beating people up.
Oh, have you been through the ICE training?
No, I haven't been to.
Okay.
No.
So how do you know if they're unqualified?
Google it. Eight weeks of training, going down to 47 days.
So you know the U.S. Navy receives 9 weeks of boot camp.
I don't give a They're not nice.
So you don't care. Cool. Hey, so let me ask you about that. These are most
you work for?
Newsmax.
You.
Oh, cool.
You Newsmax.
You have. Yeah.
News.
Oh man, that's too bad.
No good son of a Nazi.
Wait. How do you?
You.
What are you, the propaganda machine? Bro. Get the out of here. Nobody wants to talk to you.
Well, I thought you guys were for the First Amendment stuff. All right. Well, as you can see, they don't really like us too much, but that's okay. We're having a blast.
We were out there for a while just messing with these guys. It was great, but they're all just like tiny little humans that won't do anything. They're just standing across the street from some random federal building. That's where they took those 3 people that Pam Bondi finally decided to arrest. I didn't have a drug test on me, but you could probably imagine how those results would have come out. I don't know. Maybe get a gym membership, play World of Warcraft, do something, get a job. I mean, do you want your legacy in life to be that you stood outside in negative 50-degree weather yelling at an ice facility? And what do you think your accomplishment? I tried to explain this to one of them while I was there yesterday, that Donald Trump's not going to just suddenly be intimidated by a bunch of these people, unemployable, crazy nut jobs, screaming at the moon. It was so funny. I got on my Uber this morning at like 4:30 to get back here to New York for the show. And my driver, shocker, was Somali. So I asked him, I said, what's going on here? I played totally dumb. He was really happy to tell me what he thought, that look, this guy was really open with it. He's like, look, it's a few Somalis that got played by a bunch of politicians. I'm like, wow, really? He said, they committed a bunch of crime and fraud and all this stuff, and they screwed it up for all the rest of us. He was super angry at him. This guy, he did things right. He came here like 25 years ago, legally, took him 5 years, learned English. He was so pissed at the Somali community over all this fraud stuff because it's given him a bad name. He was like, There's never been any kids in these daycares ever. He was like, everybody knew that. It was like the unspoken rule, and he was just annoyed about it. But it all makes sense. It all makes sense. If you think that this community, the Somali community, had the capacity to steal $9 billion,
it's very hard to describe what it means to be Somali and what it means to be American, but it's like a cultural fusion. It's kind of like the bananas and rice. You know, people don't really see, like, you know, it's you know, people don't think, oh, you can eat bananas with rice, but that's what it's like to be Somali and American. It's like that combination of banana and rice.
I mean, she was speaking at an event where apparently ICE detained her. That's why she had the Nelly Band-Aid on her head. But I wouldn't hire her as my keynote for my next event. But of course, all this fraud surrounding these detentions was orchestrated by politicians. They had to know that. They all knew about the programs. They just needed someone to apply for them, and then they could do whatever they do. But I did ask my Uber driver, like, why the hell did all these people from Somalia move to Minnesota, where this morning it was negative 50 real feel when I left for the airport? He didn't know, actually. None of this stuff means anything. The only thing that matters is at the ballot box. And you want to go stand out there and scream, fine by me. It's endless content and infinitely more examples why not to vote Democrat. But I'm just saying, whine all you want, but Trump is just going to double down on this stuff, which he's already done. But I think J.D. Vance summed it up perfectly yesterday.
I don't admire them for anything except for this. It is really cold outside. And, you know, we in the Trump administrations want to deport criminal aliens who are sex offenders. It takes a certain level of commitment to sex offender criminal aliens to stand outside in negative 40-degree temperatures and attack the vice president of the United States. But, man, they are committed to the bit.
He's absolutely right. You have to be a special kind of stupid to stand out there and protest federal law enforcement agents that are coming to remove pedophiles from your neighborhood. But this is, look, the concept is really dangerous. These people are popping up all over the country. I don't know if you saw this, but this is a Maryland Democrat. She's an elected councilwoman, Liz Walsh, okay? So this nut, between trying to find the manager at Pottery Barn, she decides that it would be beneficial to her community somehow to alert everybody that she thought ICE was doing some operation in her neighborhood. She listed the location and how it was going down and everything. The only problem was it wasn't ICE at all. In fact, it was the Howard County Police Department conducting an undercover sting on an online child sex solicitation ring. An undercover op that they've been working on for a while now. And Liz Walsh blew it. I mean, great job, lady. Look, you should step down. You should move to the woods with no internet and no contact with humanity for the rest of your life. Literally protecting pedos trying to pick up kids on the internet. I mean, wow. And there's no justification for this. Stop. I never want to hear another word from Democrats about the moral high ground ever again. Think about that. An elected councilwoman did this. You've also got the mayor of Minneapolis, Mayor Fry. He told everybody today, stay home from work, don't go to school. I mean, look, Mamdani's making kids go to school remotely during 4 feet of snow or whatever we're getting here on Monday. But yet he's telling his own people, don't go to school, don't shop, don't open your stores, essentially shut down his own city because he doesn't like people enforcing the law. What's even funnier, if they weren't so blatantly anti-Trump, this is so funny to me. They're so vocal about hating Trump and resisting and fighting the federal government. If they had just shut up about it, Nick Shirley probably would never have even gone to Minnesota in the first place. And they might have gotten away with all this fraud, but now they're getting investigated. And I hope it's more invasive than a proctology exam because there's a ton of it there. Did you know that the Mayor Frey's wife, his wife was legal counsel to the $250 million fraud scheme that they just arrested 75 Somalians for? And to distract from that, they run stories like this, trying to say that ICE scooped up and violently detained a 5-year-old kid, which is not even remotely what happened. You want to know what actually happened? Let Brianna explain it. Watch this.
And ICE officials told them that they were being directed to just arrest everybody in that courthouse, including people who were following the rules. And then when a child gets swept up in that, I think that also seems to people to be unnecessary cruelty. That rather than just shoving that kid in the car, shouldn't the ICE officers have done everything in their power to try to figure out where that child can go outside of detention?
Right, and they did. They tried to give the child back to the mother, who reportedly refused. They also didn't shove the child into the car. That child was abandoned by his parents, and they treated him
a lot of what you're saying is...
How come when I talk, I keep getting cut off?
That basically checked. No outrage from the fact that the mother rejected custody from her own child. Brianna's going to be on in a sec, by the way, to talk more about. They were mad at the ICE agents that they cared for the kid. I mean, could you imagine if the ICE agents were like, nah, you're on your own, kid? They would freak out. There's no winning with these people. Also, I love how Abby Phillips, like CNN, some brainchild producer at CNN, thought it'd be a great idea to give her own show so she can just go out there and get owned by her Republican guests. Every night, Scott Jennings, Brianna did it. I mean, they just let her go out there and get destroyed. And for what? I don't even understand. But it's inspiring tons of crazies to like the max. The Ohio guy, he threatened. This guy got arrested with a bunch of body armor and a gun, saying he was going to go out and kill ICE agents. And the left is like, I don't know why they arrested him. I know. What's even crazier is all these congressmen that are now suddenly pretending to be outraged by ICE, ignoring the violent reality of their rhetoric, obviously. But most of these people have never made any effort to like defund or regulate or anything else other than ICE in any other term other than now. It never put Eric Swalwell, perfect example of this, wants to banish ICE from the state of California if he's elected governor. Good luck.
They're going to lose their immunity. They're not going to be able to drive. I will take your driver's license. Good luck walking to work.
People like him think Gotham City was like a blueprint for success on the left. And if you don't think Gotham is a blueprint for the left movement, New York Magazine, the staple of the left's creativity, published this ad. I don't know. This is like their first round draft in the ICE wars, I think. The one thing they were missing were like the protest stats at the bottom. Pepper sprayed 13 times, yelled for 4 straight hours, live with parents. I mean, we could make like trading cards. They'd go up in value every time they get arrested. That would actually be the only value these people have ever created. Newsmax correspondent Joe Mueller is in Minneapolis, where he has been following these protesters in negative 40-degree temperatures all day. Joe, what's going on?
Ooh, you missed the chilly night here tonight. I mean, let me tell you, you're missing all the action, Carl. I know you were here yesterday. Take a look behind me here. The protests, big day of action, they're calling it here today. Take a look. This big march that happened in downtown Minneapolis today for their ICE Out day of action ended here outside the Target Center. You're seeing people on top of cars. You're seeing a lot of Mexican flags. This is another demonstration against ICE here in Minneapolis. I mean, this has been happening throughout the day. They were telling people not to go to work, not to go to school, even though schools are closed because it's so cold here. I think right now it feels like negative 14 out here in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. So this morning, this all started at the federal building. They were blocking roads there. They were forced to leave there. The sheriff's office told them to disperse. Airport, they were blocking roads. People were arrested at the airport reportedly, and they were doing sit-ins in the terminals. And then downtown, thousands of people flooded the streets, and they ended up here at the Target Center after a march and a little rally. And you know what, Carl? I'm going to show you. You have this crowd here on top of cars. I'm going to have a photojournalist walk with me. Be careful. It is icy. It's not the best situation, Carl. You know what it was like yesterday. That's the only cop car I've seen. The only police car is right down the street. And you're seeing this crowd completely block this. I mean, people are trying to get inside of hotels down the street, restaurants, and they can't even do that because this is happening out here in downtown Minneapolis. So clearly the weather's not stopping these folks. They're just doing what they want outside the Target Center. They were even inside the Target Center. I'm going to have our photojournalist show you. They're now crowding around these vehicles there, waving their flags, doing their thing out here. We'll see how this night ends up. You know Minneapolis, when the sun goes down, it can all change.
Yeah. Look at all those doctors and lawyers over there curing cancer. It's amazing. Joe, stay warm. All right, let's bring in Republican State Senator in Minnesota himself, Michael Holmstrom. Michael, this... I give them credit for their commitment.
Yeah, well, you know, you got to ask yourself, why is Minnesota so different? This has been happening. ICE enforcement is nothing new in America. It's because, you know, we've got our leaders who are for sure culpable in this fraud.
Representatives,
and they are doing
don't ever call them
everything
leaders.
they can. Fair enough. Yeah. They're doing everything they can to gin up the crowd. And I'll say this too. I see a lot of protests. I see a lot of social issues that people protest. It's always the same people, a different sign. They don't believe in any of this stuff. They just believe in being radicals.
Yeah. No, 100%. And that's actually right across the street from where I stayed last night over there. It just seems to me that like this is the one unequivocal win that Trump has is the border. He got it down to 0. He's been deporting people. It is the one thing that is like inarguable. People argue economics all day and tariffs and this and that. This is the one thing nobody can dispute. Is that why they're doing this?
Yeah, they need a win. They need something that they can point at and get people ginned up about and angry about. And look at them. They're standing on top of cars. It's negative 15 degrees out there. And of course, we've got city police down the street who are just watching and smiling. This is all totally manufactured.
The good news, though, a bald eagle was spotted on a Minnesota traffic camera yesterday. So I think freedom may be coming that direction. There it is. Look at that. Right in the snow. He was like, you know what? Help is coming, guys. Hold on. All right. This is the other thing, too.
We've drafted them into ICE.
Yeah, exactly. I hear ICE is releasing them now just to scare people. But this fraud stuff, going back to the fraud, that's the reason all this is happening, because they can't let the fraud scandal be the news, so they have to like burn down their own city to do it. But it's happening in Maine, too. A federal audit now alleges that Maine made nearly $46 million in improper payments for community support services for the children with autism. And the vice president told me yesterday that Minnesota fraud is nothing compared to other states like California. However, there's buildings with empty rooms that are all apparently in 40 in one building that are supposedly these healthcare centers that nobody goes to.
Minnesota fraud is unique in one way. Our fraudsters were so stupid, they're the first ones to get caught. We're going to get the roadmap for the rest of the state or the rest of the country.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I like my criminals stupid. They're easier to catch.
That's how I like them.
Exactly. To celebrate the 1 year of this administration, too, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, she's actually offering $2,600. They've raised it. It's the bonus to self-deport, plus they'll pay for your flight. Do you know if any of your constituents or anybody in that state has taken any of this?
Well, let me assure you, none of my constituents are illegal immigrants. I do not represent illegal immigrants. I represent Minnesota citizens. So that being said, I can encourage anybody in my district and across the state, across the country, take advantage of that. You got a chance to come back in the future. You messed up. Take your beating, leave,
right,
and come back another day.
Yeah, and Senator, we've got this live look on your screen right there. You can see these people. You know, do you expect it to get violent tonight? I see them already standing on cars, blocking traffic, both of which I believe to be illegal, but I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get violent. It's going to get way colder tonight. They're going to go back inside. They're cowards. But as soon as the cameras go away, they're going to be gone.
Oh, well.
There'll be a few that agitate and maybe break a window or two, but I don't see it being violent.
Yeah, I'm just, stunned that they think they're going to make a difference in there. So, Michael Holmstrom, we appreciate it very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up, anger on full display as a January 6th officer loses his cool like a child, shouting profanity at a GOP lawmaker during his deranged Jack Smith's hearing yesterday. We're going to give you those details in just a bit. But first, the House passing another funding bill. A good number of Republicans aren't celebrating, but Democrats were cheering. More spending, same broken system. I hate Capitol Hill. Next.
The 47th President of the United States of America.
And, I wouldn't say Fox has been exactly perfect. Fox has been a big difference of Fox between now and what it was 4 years ago, as you know. But we have others that come along, and they're doing well, and Newsmax has been really good, and, others are coming along. And people are seeing that they're watching these conservative networks.
President Trump is right. That's why millions of Americans are tuning into Newsmax for the real news they can trust.
Joining us is Dr. Drew from the Wellness Company with advice for dealing with seasonal colds and flu. Doctor?
Cold and flu season is here, and every year you or a loved one gets sick. Your doctor can't see you. Waiting in a crowded urgent care is brutal. This is a particularly bad cold and flu season, and it's why doctors suggest every family needs an emergency medical kit. Your medical emergency kit is filled with essential prescriptions. It includes antibiotics like generic Z-Pak to get well faster, amoxicillin for pneumonia, strep throat, ear infections, plus prescriptions for nausea and UTIs, and even ivermectin. It's easy. Just match your symptoms to the prescription in your guidebook or call the telemedicine doctor standing by. Take your medication early and feel better faster. Having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care in your home. No waiting to see a doctor, no lines at the pharmacy.
Smart advice. We've shared the website and discount code below to save viewers $45. Order now and your kit will be rushed to your door. Thank you, doctor.
Don't kibble your dog.
Oh, hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
But what's wrong with this? It's premium stuff.
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means it's ultra-processed at extremely high temperatures that destroy the nutrients in the food. But at Dr. Marty, we gently freeze-dried premium meats, fruit, and vegetables, locking in their nutrients.
Never kibbled.
You got it, kid, and they're gonna love it.
All right, as you can see right there, that's a live picture of what's going on. I was literally in that building to the right. That was my hotel last night. We're going to keep following this to see if anything pops off. If they start doing stupid stuff, we'll make sure we have a camera there to tell you more about it and make fun of them. All right, Congress went on another spending spree last night. Republicans betrayed us really badly. I mean, Democrats literally cheered when these bills were passed. That's not a good thing for Republicans. Just to name a few. Here's $10 million in funding for gender mutilation surgeries and abortion providers. Why? No idea. Passed over $1.17 trillion in spending. This exceeded the White House budget request by billions. Why? Again, no idea. Failed to remove a mandate that would require vehicle manufacturers. So right now, as it stands, coming up, the vehicle manufacturers can put a kill switch in your car so they can shut off, or the government can shut off your car remotely. That amendment was struck down to do away with that. This is insane. Congressman Tim Burchett saying the quiet part, though, out loud. Roll this.
We're gutless, and we're compromised, and we're not doing what we said we're going to do. We're not following what President Trump asked us to do, and y'all should be mad because I'm mad.
I mean, if you don't know Tim Burchett, that's his mad tone. But we're so pissed about this stuff, man. Election correspondent, the Federalist, Brianna Lyman, and White House correspondent for the Daily Wire, Margaret Olohan. All right, Mary, obviously you're in the White House. You see this stuff. Trump wants one thing. Congress goes, I don't know, full left-hand turn here.
Absolutely, Carl. And look, we heard a lot from Capitol Hill about these different Democratic priorities that they were trying to put in this bill and succeeded in getting passed. We heard a lot of talking points from Republicans on TV, talking about the gender provisions in here, talking about the abortion provisions in here. And then unfortunately, nothing at the end of the day was done about it. So I think many Americans justifiably would wonder, why did we hear so much talk when nothing at the end of the day was accomplished? In fact, to keep these things out of this bill. And at the same time, the president has complained many, many times about the Republicans who don't go along with his agenda, the Republicans that vote against it. And as usual, he has not been happy with those who will not go along with his agenda on this point.
Yeah, I'm not happy, and I think we should primary them. But Brianna, you're the elections correspondent over at the Federalist. Trump has to hit the road again this week. Every week he's going to be traveling. Susie Wiles says she's rolling out the red carpet for him. And I'm thinking to myself, they could save a lot of money on jet fuel if the Congress would pass like voter ID, because you'd eliminate a bunch of voters and we'd all be happy and go to the polls in the snow.
Yeah, and that's pretty much why it's up to the Senate now to pass the SAVE Act. So basically the way elections work right now is if you go to register to vote, you get to check off a little tiny square box that says, I attest under penalty of perjury that I'm a United States citizen.
Sure.
That is the only thing standing between a non-citizen and a safe and fair election. And yet for some reason, there are, I think, about 8 Republican senators who are like, oh no, I can't dare to even think about passing the SAVE Act. In order to have a free and fair election, we have to ensure that Americans are deciding American elections. And the best way to do that is require documentary proof of citizenship. So the SAVE Act would amend the 1993 National Voter Registration Act to require that documentary proof of citizenship. Now, Carl, note, Arizona is the only state that currently has a mechanism in which if you want to vote in statewide elections, you must provide documentary proof of citizenship to vote. If you cannot provide that documentary proof of citizenship to vote, you may only vote in a federal election.
Right.
Other states should follow suit if Congress will not pass the SAVE Act.
Mayor Margaret, you would think that would be easy to pass, but Senator Grassley apparently can't make up his mind on this regarding the SAVE Act. Okay, in a letter he wrote, "I do not believe that Iowa and other states need politicians in Washington dictating on how control states run their elections." But then he's posting on X saying, "I don't believe everything you read on the internet. I'm not opposed to the SAVE Act," but he voted against it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the situation with a number of Republican senators, right? We've seen a lot of different comments from them on this, and then their vote ultimately tells you what they think about it at the end of the day. And this is a situation that Americans have had to grapple with for a long time. We're seeing a lot of people, though, calling these senators out, very angry with them, as I know you are, Carl, and pointing out that they need to follow through on the president's agenda, and also they need to follow through on the will of their voters. So a lot of these Republicans, their constituents did want this act to pass. They did want the SAVE Act to pass. So at the end of the day, they're going to have to answer to those voters, and some of them, you know, are in states where they could end up facing a primary opponent, and that's something that we hear talked about a lot as well.
So bizarre. Real quick, I got about 30 seconds for you, Brianna. Rachel Kleinfeld, okay, publicly led the charge against the Arrest Trump and the mass protests and the Trump supporters and bankrupting pro-Trump conservatives. She just got major funding in this NED, the National Endowment for Democracy. We couldn't even defund that.
Yeah, Carl, I'm starting to think that the word democracy doesn't actually mean what we think it might mean. It means something else for leftists, a way for them to use and weaponize any system at their disposal to turn away and basically squash any dissent from Republicans or conservatives.
Yeah, shocking to me. Brianna, Margaret, we appreciate it.
Thanks, Carl.
All right, coming up, just when you think the left can't go any lower, they send out a drag queen dressed up as Erica Kirk with a whole routine, and these people are just whack. We got that in our Culture Clash.
Information, truth is freedom, is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.
Marlene trusts Prevagen for her brain, and this is her story.
Hi, I'm Marlene. Taking care of myself, it's also taking care of the family as well. I've been taking Prevagen for around 5 years now. It helps me maintain who I am and gives me more confidence. I'm taking Prevagen and telling my family and telling everyone around me, I know what it's going to do for them. Prevagen works for me, and I see the results.
Prevagen has been the #1 selling brain supplement nationwide for over 10 years.
A new year brings new threats, and Cyberman's ready for every one of them. While hackers plot their next move, Cyberman's already there, protecting families, businesses, and governments before danger can strike. This year, protect what matters most with easy-to-use, award-winning protection. With PCmatic, you get American-made protection that's faster, smarter, and stronger. Start 2026 with confidence. Visit PCmatic.com today.
Hi, I'm Ben Cozy. Isn't traveling a pain in the neck? You're cramped, uncomfortable, and forget about getting any rest. There's nothing cozy about airplane seats or hard plastic benches, and those so-called travel pillows, they just don't cut it. You don't need another travel pillow. You need Be Cozy, the world's most comfortable neck pillow. Trapped in the middle seat? Wrap Be Cozy around your neck to stop chin drop, bobblehead napping. Smashed up against the window? Fold Be Cozy over and tuck it onto your shoulder for super side support. Frequent flyer miles got you sitting aisle? Turn Be Cozy to the side for the perfect pillow position. Everyone wants to be cozy, so get the world's most comfortable travel neck pillow and be cozy just like me, Ben Cozy. You get to be cozy. Everyone gets a Be Cozy. Only Be Cozy has patented overlapping arms so you get double support and the comfort you need in any seat on any trip. Go online right now and get this exclusive TV offer. Buy one Be Cozy, get one 50% off. Get yours now.
Ready to make your dream kitchen a reality? Then Cabinets to Go is the place to go. Get the craftsmanship, styles, and features you want at a price you can't find anywhere else. And right now, get it all at 0% for 48 months. Only at Cabinets to Go. Designed to wow.
Your Florida life is calling, and we have the answer. Valencia in Florida by GL Homes. Premium 55-plus living in 5 prime Florida locations. Gorgeous new homes from the mid-300s to $2.5 million. World-class resort-style living 24/7. Huge clubhouses, on-site dining, pickleball, and more. Effortless, low-maintenance living. Valencia, your Florida life is calling. Experience more at valenciaflorida.com.
As a neurologist, my patients are often concerned with age-related memory decline. I recommend Cunol Brain Health with 2 powerful, high-absorption ingredients clinically shown to improve memory, focus, attention, and more. Cunol, the brand I trust.
For pain in multiple spots like here, here, or here, Salonpas patches stick firmly and remove comfortably once your pain is gone. Salonpas. It's good medicine.
All right, you're looking live in Minnesota where these morons are out there in negative 50-degree weather to protect pedophiles and criminals from ice or something. I don't know what's going on. Bringing to Ashley Brasfield, reporter at the Daily Caller, and Shawn Farash, comedian and host of Ungoverned on LFA TV. Shawn, what's the inspiration here?
The inspiration is chaos. The inspiration is to paint the picture of chaos anyway in the streets, to attempt to make ICE look bad, to attempt to make the administration look bad. That's all this is. You know, that the fact that there are now people claiming that a 5-year-old was kidnapped yesterday. You know what they did with that 5-year-old? They took him through a drive-through, and now he's playing games in an education center in the absence of his deadbeat father, who decided to flee from cops and abandon his kid on the side of the road in freezing cold Minneapolis, left to fend for himself.
Yeah.
ICE is not the bad guy. ICE is an agency that is enforcing federal law. It's their congressionally authorized duty to do so. Then if you've come into this country illegally, you're subject to deportation, because that in and of itself is a crime, which makes 100% of illegal aliens who entered this country illegally criminals. All of this is all a distraction. This is all noise.
Yep.
This is all meant to destabilize society at this point.
And it's worth noting again that the mother refused custody when they called her too. Ashley, just when you think though the left can't get any weirder, this is a drag queen named Erica Quirk, now mocking Erica Kirk with some drag routine mocking Erica's husband, Charlie Kirk's assassination. Watch this.
On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do."
This is like out of this world to me.
Yeah, not only mocking, the widow of Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk here, but also kind of mocking Christians all over again. So here we are, where we had a bunch of drag queens going and reading to kindergartners, and now they're mocking widows of dead individuals that were assassinated, a political crime in this sense. So that's where we are, I guess, in the U.S. right now. It's an election year, and you saw that chaos being, spread in the streets of Minnesota, and now we're seeing, drag queens mocking individuals that were assassinated. That's where we're at, Carl. It's disgusting.
Is a dude with dollar bills shoved in his T-shirt. All right, speaking of drag queens dressing up, these parents are now asking for tolerance, Shawn, after their transgender kid committed suicide back in 2024. But let me show you the real headline that they're not leading with here. It's a man reportedly kills himself after a church allegedly refuses to let him dress as a French cat maid. Okay.
This is just insanity. It is really what this is. This is insanity. It's actual mental illness. Whether it's this drag queen Erica Quirk with, by the way, that's okay. But the post about Rob Reiner wasn't okay. Okay, all right, I see. Nice little double standard down. If the left didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards at all. No, you cannot dress up as a French cat maid. Obviously, it's a tragedy that this person killed himself, but this just goes to show you that these people need actual, meaningful mental health treatment.
Yes.
Don't just drug them and affirm their gender. By doing so, you're affirming their insanity. If I say that I identify as a millionaire, I can't go rob a bank and withdraw millions of dollars.
Right.
Okay, that's not the way it works.
It is not the way it works. And also, it's a church. If they have a uniform, well, work somewhere else. Bree Fram, remember this? Okay. Former Space Force colonel, man, pretending to be a woman, the one who promoted DEI, just announced he is running for Congress. Watch this.
I never intended to run for public office. After 9/11, my country called. I served 23 years wearing the flag on my shoulder, reaching the rank of colonel. But then Donald Trump fired me, not for my performance, but because of who I am. Virginia, my name is Bree Fram, and it would be my honor to fight for you. Join me at teambree.com.
I don't think I will.
Yeah, well, Bree Fram is a man. I'm going to just say that out loud here. So that's what we're getting. I mean, we already have a transgender member of Congress. I don't really think we need two, and I don't think that the transgender.
I don't think we need one.
I don't think we need one. I think it's less than 1% of the country that you're being represented. There's only 400 something members in the House, as well as, the 100 in the Senate. So, I mean, when you're looking at representing the smallest minority of a protected class in the country, I don't really think we need that represented in the United States Congress quite yet. We may be getting there eventually, but not today.
Yeah, not in schools, not in Congress, not at the garbage dump, for all I care. Shawn, Bernie Sanders is like praising Denmark, okay? He tweeted out, quote, our billionaire Treasury Secretary called Denmark irrelevant. Unlike the U.S., Denmark healthcare and college are free and starting wage is $22 an hour. Paid parental leave is 1 year. Paid vacation is 6 weeks. All workers get pensions. That seems very relevant to me. And I couldn't help but notice that the entry-level starting tax bracket in Denmark is also 50%. And so that 22 is really $11. And, oh, that's right. We defend them.
That's right. We defend them. We're taking Greenland, by the way. It's ours. This land is my land. It is not your land, Mr. King of Denmark. It is our land now. Greenland is the United States territory. I mean, not technically, but it's going to be funny if that, how that whole thing shakes out. I love how Bernie Sanders, though, we will talk about Denmark. They're a socialist utopia. These people, look, Bernie Sanders wants to say, Denmark comes out and says they're not socialist. They kind of are. Look at those tax rates. But you know one thing Denmark does? Or what they don't do that we do here in the United States? They don't give those welfare programs to illegal immigrants, which is why they have the money. Yeah. Okay, I'm not saying they're doing it right. I'm saying that's one thing they don't do that we do.
You're right.
That's why it didn't work.
Yeah, you're right. Shawn, Ashley, have a great weekend. Enjoy the snow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, one American company making sure you are safe, whether you're at home, on the move, safe, school, wherever. Well, we're about to introduce you to Clear Armor, made in America.
If you don't change that, I'm going to Mrs. Reagan and I'm resigning.
The Reagans, the Bushes, and the Clintons. White House usher Chris Emery saw it all. Discover the secret lives of the first families. Watch White House Usher, the inside story.
Ooh, it's cold outside. Time to protect your vehicle from winter's wrath. Of course, the hot sun can be tough on vehicles too. You need WeatherTech. Laser measured floor liners and cargo liner will shield the carpeting from sand and snow. For your interior, there's seat protector and sunshade, plus mud flaps and bump step for the exterior. Impact liner with shock absorbing rings safeguards your truck bed from costly damage. Order American-made products at WT.com. Surf's up.
This isn't your average pill. This is Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks is a fast-acting solution because it dissolves under your tongue.
Rose Sparks.
Guys, get started today.
Connect with a provider to find out if Rose Sparks are right for you.
Hey guys, Viagra is not your only option. Rose Sparks act fast and stay active longer. They aren't pills. Sparks dissolve under your tongue to reach your bloodstream for speedy results. Connect with a provider at ro.co/sparks.
You're careful about what you bring home when shopping, especially when it comes to feeding your family. Shouldn't your investments work the same way? At Timothy Plan, we offer a wide selection of mutual funds and ETFs that can help you allocate assets without compromising your values. From technology to healthcare, energy to real estate, our funds are not only diverse but uncompromising to your values. Timothy Plan funds are filtered to avoid companies involved in abortion, pornography, human trafficking, and other harmful agendas. What you invest in should reflect what you stand for. Are your investments bearing good fruit? What's in your portfolio? Contact your financial advisor today to find out, or contact Timothy Plan directly at 1-800-TIM-PLAN to discover more. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
I still love to surf, snowboard, and of course skate. So I take Cunol Magnesium to support my muscle and bone health. Cunol's high absorption magnesium glycinate helps me get the full benefits of magnesium. Cunol, the brand I trust.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Order online and save $45. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS. That's urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS.
All right, Made in America, where we highlight a business that's doing it right, manufacturing right here at home, because Made in America isn't just a label. It's how we're making America great again. One job, one product, one community at a time. So, folks, are you protected enough at home on the move? Hopefully, you have a firearm in the event of a home invasion. And sure, you lock your doors at night and have security cameras. But what about your windows? Are they strong enough to withstand a blunt force gunfire? One American company committed to making sure that you can secure your own home. That company's Clear Armor. And now they're in the game of body armor and windows and all these types of things that stop bullets. And as someone who's actually taken a round in the plate before in Iraq, trust me, you want the good stuff when that bullet comes flying. David Trudeau is the president and CEO of Clear Armor. All right, sir, I got one of your plates right here. These things are a third of the weight of what I had over in Iraq.
Yes, 3 pounds, and our last test on that, we stopped 3 308s and 1 30-06 on that.
All right, that'll do. How did you end up getting into this? Obviously, you can't give proprietary information how you make this stuff, but how did you end up in the body armor industry?
A lot of the people I know and me have had guys that were killed not wearing the right body armor. Police officers, tier 1 guys like you. So we just started developing things, and I just don't give up on stuff. I think that's my real success and wanting to change America for the better. So that's how we got into that.
So, you know what's interesting? I ran into you down at Mar-a-Lago a month or two ago, and you had outfitted a Jeep, like a regular civilian Jeep, and it didn't look like one of the up-armored, Toyota Hiluxes we used over in Iraq or anything like that. It looked totally normal, and the door was like a fraction of the weight of anything else. This is something that normal people can reasonably install in their own vehicles, and it's not that expensive.
Yes. And on that Jeep, we were only 311 pounds on chassis, where most vehicles are close to 5,000 to 10,000 pounds.
That is insane to me. I remember I slammed the door shut with 2 fingers, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. Where do people go? I mean, we were showing that video. Where do they go to find out more about this thing? Because this is like an incredible product. I mean, I'm nerding out, by the way.
Oh, don't worry. I get nerded out on my stuff, too. So they can go to Clear Armor. As a matter of fact, that Jeep was donated to the federal fallen officers. So if anybody wants to help that, they can go to their website and buy a ticket for that Jeep.
Okay, all right.
That's the True Armor. So the True Armor is the vehicle armor. The Clear Armor is flat glass in buildings. And then True Trauma is our training by a Navy SEAL medic that retired out of SOLCOM. And he does all the training with a few other guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an incredible thing. True Armor and Clear Armor, you said?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, I mean, look, in this day and age, especially with what's going on in Minnesota right now, I can't think of a better thing to be able to slap on your kids and throw them in an up-armored vehicle and get them out of Dodge.
We also do bulletproof backpacks for a lot of police officers, for their children, undercover cops, Secret Service, you name it.
Wow. I mean, that is actually...
CEOs.
I'll be buying one of those tonight. And people buy that at Clear Armor?
Yes, they can just reach out to Clear Armor. But the one thing I want to say is we harden the two weakest parts of the school, the people and the glass. We need to give these children a chance. They need to be in a safe environment to learn so they can become all that they can, because they're the ones that are going to change this country for the better. That is my goal in life.
Yeah. Well, look, can't think of a better thing to invest in, especially made in America. Sir, we really appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up, the tensions in Jack Smith's hearing wasn't just between the witness and other Republicans. Another leftist hero was caught on camera and losing his mind in the mix on a fellow Republican. We're going to show you that.
Don't kibble your dog.
Oh, hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, Bat.
But what's wrong with this? It's premium stuff.
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means it's ultra-processed at extremely high temperatures that destroy the nutrients in the food. But at Dr. Marty, we gently freeze-dried premium meats, fruit, and vegetables, locking in their nutrients.
Never kibbled.
You got it, kid, and they're gonna love it.
Science didn't stop at diet and exercise. Why would you? Human science-backed supplements deliver effective blood pressure support and daily energy through better blood flow support. Because cardiovascular health is everything health. Only human.
The poverty is unimaginable. There are people who are struggling.
This is where she washes the dishes.
If you're ever going to allow your Christian faith to rise and to do something for God's chosen people, now is the time.
This is the home of Galina. She's 96 years old.
This is what she had to eat for today.
She has one pot with water and wheat.
My father was killed by the Nazis, and I was an orphan. I didn't know about God. But now, in the cold, hungry nights, I pray for food to the God I've never known. There are good people that love you.
You see the tears. Scripture says joy can come in the morning, and you can be the reason.
If you will bless these hurting children of Israel, you will receive God's blessing in return. Your urgent gift today of $25 will help Rush, a survival food box filled with life-saving essentials. If you call right now, your gift's impact will be doubled to help save lives. Call, scan, or go online now.
I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, I don't know how much longer she could have waited for us to come.
I can't even grow my food anymore. What will happen to me? I'm doomed to starve.
Tens of thousands of elderly Holocaust survivors in the former Soviet Union are living in extreme poverty, hungry, and forgotten. But through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, we can bring them hope.
Eggs. It's my favorite food. May you be blessed.
You say to them, we see you and we're here to help.
If you call right now, your gift's impact will be doubled to help save lives.
Muscle cramps were keeping me up at night, so then I tried Slowmag, the magnesium plus calcium supplement that helps relax tense muscles so I can rest comfortably. And Slowmag tablets have a slow-release formula that's gentle on my stomach. That's why I use Slowmag.
Fireworks at the former special counsel Jack Smith's hearing, but not just between the Republicans on the bench and Smith himself. The darling of the Jan 6 committee, this extreme leftist, former Capitol Police officer, Michael Holmstrom. Okay, this guy got in the face of Jan 6 protester Ivan Racklin. Roll this.
Look at me. Total control over my mind, body. Hey, the committee will be in order. Mr. Chairman, will you?
Sweet Dropkick Murphy shirt, dude. That guy's probably also about 5'7". Okay, this self-loathing Fanon. He had to be temporarily removed from the hearing. I don't know why it was temporary, but of course his Democrat fans, they cheered him on. Fanon also disrupting the hearing, telling the Republican on the bench to go F himself. Jeff Lord, contributing editor at the American Spectator, and Luke Ball, CEO of Compass Strategies. All right, Jeff, you've been in this game a long time, and it's the people that want to fight on the House floor. Like, that happens not that often.
Yeah, it doesn't, and it just is amazing. The thing that always puzzles me is that there are people who do these things who think that this is going to give them points or help their cause or whatever it is. All it does is say to the American people, these people shouldn't be in Congress, or they shouldn't be around it. I mean, and in this case, a Capitol police officer for
in a
heaven's sake.
T-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's mind-boggling. I mean, I worked there in both House and Senate. You know, you do these kind of things, you should be thrown out the door.
Yeah, this is actually incredible. Here's another one, Luke, as we're watching that little pip on the bottom of the screen there. Protesters outside Minneapolis. They've now graduated. All the future doctors and lawyers are now waving Mexican and Somalian flags, but this happened in New York, where NYPD detectives were disrespected, treated rudely. They arrived after a tussle with suspects and an injury. They arrived at a local hospital in New York, and they were told they couldn't bring their guns in, okay? And then they were told to leave because the hospital staff thought they were ICE.
The progression between what we saw maybe a decade ago acting against law enforcement and what we see today is staggering, because it started with things like, you can't come into this fast food restaurant because you're a cop and we don't like that. And then they were debanking conservatives, including law enforcement officers. And now they're refusing to treat them at times, apparently, at hospitals and disrespecting them. Let's be very clear, too. The left would just as soon have those officers turned out into the cold and not treated for gunshot wounds or having any sort of assault against them than they would actually wanting to take care of them as human beings.
Yeah, no, it is incredible. And from in the city where we said we would never forget, we pretty fast forgot. Right. Jeff, a new social media platform based in the EU launched this week. It's by the elites at the World Economic Forum, okay? It's the new rival, they're saying, to Elon Musk's X, which it's not, but it's going to be named W, which is very original, and it will be eBay's former privacy VP. It said the new platform needed to be a counter for systematic disinformation, okay? You also need a photo ID to sign up, so what? The Europeans can find you when they post something you don't like?
Right. You know, you'll laugh at this, but the bizarre thought crossed my mind. They reminded me of Henry Ford, of all people. Why Henry Ford? Because he created the automobile. But then, once that was done, all kinds of people got into the automobile business and created all kinds of cars all over the place. And what we've got here are people rebelling against X and saying, okay, I'm going to create something else and something else and something else and something else.
Blue sky.
And then it's in the hands of the consumer. Are they any good at what they do or not?
Look, it never, Blue Sky doesn't catch on. It was supposed to be the actual safe space, and now it turns out there's more hate on there than X.
Well, this elite platform that was spun out of Davos is guaranteed to be the most censored platform out there. They're probably not going to allow anything that departs from the talking points of the global elites, that departs from the UN mentality, from the NATO mentality. I'm pretty confident that this is going to shut down in short order, or just be like a 10-person account there where they're tweeting out from the elites all over the talking points.
Yeah, and then getting arrested for it. Luke Ball, Jeffrey Lord, have a great weekend.
You bet, you too.
All right, before we go, we missed it yesterday because I was in Minnesota, but we got comments for Carl next.
You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us, we're different. We report the real news, no spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmidt tonight on Newsmax.
Stacked in boxes filled with moments once cherished. Where do these older home movies belong today? At iMemories, we transform your cherished tapes and films into vibrant digital memories. Simply mail them in. We'll do the rest. Then, relive these perfected memories on any modern device. Your TV, computer, or phone becomes a gateway to the past. Every laugh, every step, every cherished moment, now just a tap away. Get started today at iMemories.com.
Total Beats, America's best-selling Beats brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews today.
$600 a year.
If you're 50 plus, you could save up to that much by switching 2 unlimited lines from Big Wireless to Consumer Cellular. And we've got the same reliable coverage. So why don't you pick up your phone while I take this hammer and... I can't feel my feet. If you're over 50, get 2 unlimited lines for $30 each. And right now, get your second month free. Call Consumer Cellular.
Presents the NFL Poker Experience. Rep your team. Compete in exciting NFL tournaments, win exclusive NFL Poker Championship rings, and collect cards to complete the NFL albums. Download the WSOP free-to-play app for a chance to win $1,000 towards your favorite team merchandise.
Joining us is Dr. Drew from the Wellness Company with advice for dealing with seasonal colds and flu. Doctor?
Cold and flu season is here, and every year you or a loved one gets sick. Your doctor can't see you. Waiting in a crowded urgent care is brutal. This is a particularly bad cold and flu season, and it's why doctors suggest every family needs an emergency medical kit. Your medical emergency kit is filled with essential prescriptions. It includes antibiotics like generic Z-Pak to get well faster, amoxicillin for pneumonia, strep throat, ear infections, plus prescriptions for nausea and UTIs, and even ivermectin. It's easy. Just match your symptoms to the prescription in your guidebook or call the telemedicine doctor standing by. Take your medication early and feel better faster. Having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care in your home. No waiting to see a doctor, no lines at the pharmacy.
Smart advice. We've shared the website and discount code below to save viewers $45. Order now and your kit will be rushed to your door. Thank you, doctor.
I'm an artist and I'm in my studio. I'm hearing the ads about Relief Factor and I've got pain in my neck and it's getting worse and I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go ahead and order this. 2 weeks later and I've got much better range of motion. I'm able to carry these big canvases around. I'm just very, very grateful that I gave the product a try.
If pain is affecting your life, give Relief Factor a try. Call or go online. Get your 3-week quick start for only $19.95. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
All right, we're back with comments for Carl because I missed it yesterday, but I want to go to this first one. It was a happy birthday wish. I received this drawing from Sierra, so from all of us here at Frontline, happy birthday, Sierra. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate it. All right, 1 year ago today, I ate tacos live on air. Trump was deporting Mexicans because, some liberal told us not to eat Mexican food if we support deportations.
No tacos, no enchiladas, none of that for you.
Oh, yeah? What are you gonna do? Will you come take it out of my ham? I'm gonna eat half this plate during the break. Maybe I'll call the ICE hotline. I don't know if I'll have enough time. All right, so I reposted the clip this week, and this guy commented, bro, has the best job. He's a news anchor, gets to piss people off and enjoy tacos. Dude, I really do have the best job. But now this year, we've moved on from deporting Mexicans to deporting Somalians. So I thought I'd enjoy this fine Somali cuisine like this woman brought up.
Like, people don't think, oh, you can eat bananas with rice, but that's what it's like to be Somali and American. It's like that combination of banana and rice.
I mean, interesting combination, Rob. You want some?
I think you got to probably cook it a little bit more, but
you're supposed to cook the rice.
I think the banana's going to go in the rice.
All right. Well, there it is.
That was the soundbite of the week, though. We're going to play that one in the show, too. Good to see you, Carl, and enjoy. Carb up. Carb up, baby.
Yeah.
You need it for those big muscles. All right.